There's 13 hours. What are you, part-time? Back in my day, we'd blah, blah, blah. You guys are soft, but like whatever. Then you got the other group of people. Aren't you on salary? You should leave after 8 hours.
Hello, chefs. This is Chef PSA, and I'm your host, Dr. Natera. My guest today is Hanalei Souza, better known as Lady Line Cook, a sous chef, author, and content creator. She built a brand around telling the truth about kitchen life from a line cook and a sous chef's perspective. We get into burning steaks that almost got her fired, saving people's lives, why a title doesn't earn respect, and where's the line on the word toxic. Stay tuned. So for people that don't know, we just had a great,
amazing
podcast.
Wisdom. You'll never know.
And they'll never know because it wasn't recording.
It's kind of like when you forget to turn the oven on.
Yeah, exactly.
You've had the prime rib in there for an hour.
There was so much. We were giving like the secrets away. You put someone out that was on fire once, though.
Yeah.
So you shared this story on Instagram, and we just talked about it, but so it's a little bit fresh. But you shared the story on Instagram, and it's a wild story.
When you're a sous chef, you put out fires.
Yeah, when you're and sometimes like people, I used to joke around in the kitchen. I would say, when things are going bad, sometimes the cook pours gasoline on themselves and lights themselves on fire.
Figuratively.
But that happened literally.
Literally. So, all right, I'll set the scene. It's a normal Monday night. And it was like a year ago. And I remember this clear as day. And I'm facing the window outside, and we work across from a gas station. And I see a ball of flame. It goes like whoosh this way, and it goes whoosh that way. And I look at the manager, and I'm like, "Did you see that?" She's like, "Yeah, I saw that." So you're not crazy? Okay. We step outside, and there's a guy on fire. Like
literally
his
on
clothes
fire.
are on fire. He's screaming. There's people on the street. There's a man on fire. And we're restaurant workers, and this is what I love about restaurant workers is our brains, boom, immediately into like emergency mode. Like our brains are wired now as restaurant workers to respond in these types of on-the-fly situations. So immediately, she calls 911, she closes the door, she gets everyone inside, and she deals with the customers. I know that there's fire extinguishers all over the kitchen. And I had a safety training when I was 16 at my first job of you pull the pin, and that's all I remembered. And that saved that guy's life because I ran back there, grabbed the fire extinguisher from the kitchen, pulled the pin. I ran outside. He had crossed the street, come towards the restaurant, and was like running. He was only like 50 feet down the street, but I felt like I was sprinting forever, trying to catch up to this guy. And all his clothes had burned off, and I was like spraying him with the extinguisher, and then his boot was over there and it was on fire, and I sprayed the boot, and a bunch of my coworkers followed me out. One of my cooks took the chef coat off his back because this guy was naked, like naked in the middle of the street. Shit. Takes the chef coat off his back, puts it on this guy. He says, "I need water." A bunch of people run, they grab Cambros full of water, and all of us who were there that random Monday night came together as a team. And now that I look back on that, I was like, I was really proud of all of us. And again, just a normal Monday night, I went back to eating my ribeye, and everyone else just went back to work because there's still 3 hours of service, and that's my life in a nutshell.
Did he die?
No, he survived. I think we helped him out that day. He did have... I did hear from someone, he had like third-degree burns on his whole body apparently, but he was making a recovery. I think it was on purpose.
Do you know any of the context? Like, was it suicide? Was it drugs?
I think it was a bit of all of that, sadly.
I want to say one time you posted something like a crazy interview you did. Like some guy showed up
on
drugs.
Yeah. That's completely separate, but this guy...
No, I know it's a separate story. But what was that story? Because that one was crazy also. I remember... Because you put it on your Instagram story.
On my story, I just said I just got out of the weirdest interview. That's the thing about being a chef. Like, you think you're going to cook all day.
Is that the weirdest interview you've ever done?
I've had quite a few that are up there.
Cool.
I don't want to like call the specific guy out, so I want to think of a different one. I've had ones where when someone says, all my last jobs, I didn't get along with the last guy, but it was always their fault. It's always the other guy's fault. That to me is like, that's funny. I even made a skit about that when I collabed with Rocco last year and made all these videos. Like,
it's always their fault.
It's always that guy's fault. It's always the other guy's fault.
I had an interview when I was still chefing. Someone called me up and
It was almost like a skit out of Saturday Night Live because they're like at the end of the interview, they're like, "So you want to go grab a beer?" It's like, no, they're like, "Yeah, we should kick it."
You just met the guy.
Yeah, it's like we should kick it.
Yeah, no, I've had people like try to be my bestie. Like this one girl, it's like everyone who works here is so good looking, and like kept telling me I was beautiful the whole time, and
This is a male or female?
a woman, and then she like disappeared off the face of the earth, completely ghosted.
I've had some crazy
Yeah.
interviews. I could share the stories now.
Yeah.
I mean, I've obviously, but I don't want to embarrass people. I've had some wild interviews. The worst was like, do you guys do cooking interviews where you're at?
No, we don't.
So I
Maybe if someone's applying to like be a sous chef, which hasn't happened. Like we kept trying, but
I've done a lot
yeah.
of cooking interviews because like if I'm hiring for sous chef or
Yeah.
up, I give them the test.
Yeah, we don't always do that. We try and have people work up, but we had a couple cooking interviews.
I had this one cooking interview where this guy, one of my it's my tricks. So if you ever come, if I ever open up a restaurant and you come work for me, know that most likely
Okay.
you're going to get
Keep
an
this in
artichoke.
mind.
You're going to get an artichoke. It's like the Achilles heel for a lot of chefs.
Yeah.
Like, give them an artichoke. It's like do something with it. And I've seen people crumble with the artichoke where they start to serve the choke, the purple inner leaves, the thistles, right?
They've never seen one
Because
before.
they don't know what to do. I've seen other people that will hand it off to like the helper in the kitchen, like, "Hey, can you clean this for me? I'm really busy." Or I've even
their
seen
own stash.
Yeah, at their own interview, or I've had someone else say, "Okay, I know how to," like literally, this is what they say. "Hey, I know how to clean artichokes my way, but can you show me how you want it done your way?" I'm like, "No, just
Yeah, do your thing.
do your way. I want to see how you do it."
Exactly.
But the artichoke, I feel like if people like this is a shitty interview thing. But if you want to throw someone off for an interview, give them an artichoke.
Yeah.
Like that's the Achilles heel for like
Yeah.
80% of the chefs out there.
Yeah.
Artichoke is like, it's the final boss.
For me, even though we don't do cooking interviews, I've had people talk themselves up at an interview, but then after we hired them, realize that they were lying. And for me, that thing is salmon because we get the whole sides of salmon.
Yeah.
And this one guy was like, "I've been a chef for 30 years, blah, blah, blah," all the things that he said at the interview. And the head chef hired him. I kind of had a bad feeling about the guy, but I'm just the sous chef. What do I know? So he came in and I was like, "You ever skinned and filleted a salmon?" Yeah. I look over. Oh my God. He hasn't. He's never done this before. At least tell me the truth, man. Like at
There's
least
nothing worse than that.
if I don't know, like I would still respect you if you said, "Hey, I know I've been a chef for 30 years," or I said, he was lying, but I know I've been a chef for a long time, but we've never bought or I've never had to do this specific thing from this specific product. Show me. And I would have had no problem with that. But
So what do you do?
he just like
Butcher.
butchered it the bad way.
Yeah.
Butchered it. I was like, "You've never done that before, haven't you?" He's like, "No, not many times, no."
We had a guy that worked with it. He's like, "You could do it with your hand." I was like, "What do you mean you could do it with your hand?" He's like, "Yeah, you could take the skin off with
People
your hand."
show me that, but it's all like,
And I'm
it's
like,
not good.
I'm like, "Don't do that."
Yeah.
I'm telling my other chefs, like, "Don't do that." But he's like, "No, he swears like he'll fucking nail it." so as a joke, we're like, "All right, do it," right? And so you have all these chefs around him, and then, like he was bad. He like karate chopped the salmon skin off, like the salmon's all fucked up. And I'm like, "Oh no, what are we gonna do with it?" Like we had to make like
Salmon
rillettes or
burgers.
something. Like we saved it. Like we didn't
Yeah,
throw it away.
yeah.
Everyone's like, "Oh,
There's
you
always
killed
a way.
You killed a fish."
Yeah.
A lot of fish die in the ocean.
And this ties into our conversation about leadership. So I'm glad we're starting here.
Yeah.
So every chef who's been in the industry everyone who is a chef has a story just like this one. So don't hate on me. But when I was a newly promoted sous chef, I think like month 1 of me being a sous chef, we had this party of 30 and most of them ordered steak. And it was New York strip, which isn't on our menu. We special ordered New York for this party. And I butchered them. They were beautiful. I seasoned them. I marked them all off on the grill. They were wonderful. And I put them all on the sheet tray. And this is before we had like a smart oven with a probe and everything. So it was just a normal oven. And I put them in the oven and I take out my phone and I set a timer for 5 minutes. I thought that I did. Maybe I didn't. It was like the whole push record thing. I think I just didn't press the button. 30 minutes later, chef goes, "How are them steaks?" Oh my God. They were not well done. They were congratulations. They were like tempt them 175 internal. There was no going back. And the head chef was there. We both kind of came to this.
Like not even staff meal good.
But
Like-
I think
like-
we cheesesteaked them. So
that's
again,
good.
nothing actually goes to waste in a good kitchen.
Yeah.
But anyway, the head chef was there, and we both kind of realized this together. And immediately, I'm like, "How am I going to solve this problem? I'm going to solve this problem, even though we don't have New York strip. I can't just cut New York strips." But we have ribeye on the menu, so I can take the loin end of these ribeyes, take kind of like the loin third of it, peel off the cap, and create these New York strips for this party. And I quickly did that, and I was able to get enough for the party. Best New York strip they ever had. It's perfect medium rare. They never would have known. It was amazing. We saved the day. And this ties into leadership styles, because what did the head chef do? Do you think he cussed me out? Do you think he fired me? It's funny because I posted this story on Instagram, and a lot of people in the comments were saying he should have fired you. And to me, I'm doing the math. One New York strip loin, let's say it's prime, $300. Firing your capable and qualified sous chef and having to search and try to find another one who can do the job.
In a market where there's not a lot of
In a
talent.
market, in a not very big labor pool where it was hard enough to get me trained up to be sous chef. I'd been there for a couple years. Like, which one do you think costs more? So
Right.
obviously I wasn't fired. I still work at that same job. I'm still the sous chef there. And not only did I not get fired, but the head chef didn't cuss me out, didn't belittle me, he doesn't have that style of leadership. And this is something that I really took to heart, because in my mind, I'm thinking, what do you gain in that moment? Like, let's say you have, and we can talk about the two different types of employees, but let's say you have someone like me at the time who cares, who had a solution to correct the mistake that I owned up to, and someone who's capable at the job, who doesn't make a lot of mistakes, but people make mistakes. So things happen, but it's not a repeated mistake. Someone who wasn't going to just try and hide it and put sauce on the steak, send it out like, I hope he doesn't
Flip the
notice.
steak over.
I could have done that. It wasn't a sliced steak. It was just a steak on the plate. I could have tried to do that, but I didn't. I said, hey, these steaks are 175 internal. What do you want to do? And I solved the problem. So my question is, what would screaming at me or any employee in that place, what would screaming, belittling, going Gordon Ramsay, it's all an act, by the way, he's a nice guy, but going all Gordon Ramsay on that cook, what would that gain? The customers are waiting for the steak. You either jump into action and you solve the problem, or you waste time screaming at them and maybe having them quit and the customer's still waiting for their steak. They don't care. So to me, that really stuck with me as like a leadership style of, you don't need to belittle people. You don't, like, the industry is moving in this direction where that's not cool anymore.
And what's really great about that story is that you're telling it here on the podcast, but I've heard you tell it a couple of times
Yeah.
before. And even though it wasn't the most successful night, you've definitely learned from that one experience.
Yeah.
And you've carried it with you. And what's amazing about that is sometimes, what's that old expression? Like, you learn from other people's mistakes too. It's like, that's how a wise person learns.
Yeah.
Like, you being able to share that, a lot of young cooks that are listening to you share that, understand, like,
Yeah.
okay, what's the lesson here?
Yeah.
There's really a couple of
Yeah,
lessons.
it's not
but
just about the steaks either.
it's not about the steaks. It's
Yeah.
about the leadership aspect.
Yeah.
It's about being able to keep your cool and be resourceful in a time of crisis.
Yeah.
And it's also about, like, hey, you shouldn't fire someone for one mistake, because it's very difficult to find someone who cares.
Yeah.
Like what we were
Yeah.
talking about earlier. There's a difference between someone that, hey, I fucked up, but I care about this.
Exactly.
I'm gonna
I found
beat
a
myself
solution
up.
too. That was my solution that I came up with.
Right. And I'm probably going to beat
Yeah.
myself up for that
Yeah.
situation for a long time, versus the other person who's a shithead and it's like, oh, well, I burnt the steaks.
Yeah.
And there's also an integrity lesson here. So here's a little tangent, by the way. There's an integrity lesson here, because there's two different ways this could have gone. Well, there's multiple, but specifically two. There's one, I burnt the steaks, let's fix it.
Yeah.
You're an honest person. As the chef, I'm looking at this like, you're an honest person. Great. You're owning up to your mistakes. It's not the ideal situation,
Yeah.
but I know where your integrity lies.
Exactly.
There's the other situation with, let's sell the steaks and hope no one notices.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, I can't trust your integrity. You knew they were burned.
Exactly.
We sold them. Now we
Yeah.
have 30 angry guests.
Yeah.
Now, it was a mistake, but we also have compromised integrity.
Exactly.
The moment you became sous chef, the rules changed. You can't drink with the crew anymore. You can't look the other way anymore. You can't be liked and respected at the same time. Caesar's not above the law, and neither are you. The Sous Chef Blueprint, the manual that nobody handed you when you got promoted. Get it at chefspsa.com.
That changes how you interact with that person for the rest of their career. Yeah.
Forever. I would say you probably have to fire that person.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I would say
realistically,
so.
like that person's like, okay, we have an integrity.
Okay, how
issue.
else are they lying? Where else have they cut corners?
Yeah.
That's everything.
How do you approach leadership now, especially as someone who's, you've been at the same place for what, 5 years?
7 years now.
7 years.
Yeah.
And you've grown into positions. So you're working next to someone who's your best friend at work, right? And they've seen you come in and like you guys joke together. Now you're their boss.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was that transition?
Very interesting. And I think if you can make it through that point in your career, you can make it through anything. I personally think a lot of people say, oh, the sous chef is the hardest part of your career. I would say it was actually that step right before sous chef. Not that my job's easy now. There's a lot of different responsibilities. But there was a point in time where I was the saute cook. I was the only saute cook, the only one in the building most times that could work that station. But I also, the chef would come to me and say, hey, when you're done with your meals, go check that guy's, go check pantry, go check in with the dishwasher, go check in with all those people. And it's interesting because yesterday you were just the line cook and today you're like, hey, so how's your prep list? I'm like, why do you care? And you're doing it from a position of, I want to help you, make sure that you have the help and make sure that I can delegate out the help, make sure that we as a restaurant are set up for service because I'm no longer just caring about my station. It doesn't matter if I'm the saute queen, but the guy on grill has no fillets and has to butcher them on the fly or 86 or something like that. I need to check on everyone's station because now that is becoming my responsibility. The guest doesn't care if they're sitting there waiting for a steak. Oh, but the saute person's way ahead and they have all their meats and their dishes are coming out fine. It's the grill guy that's lagging. They don't care.
No,
They
don't.
It's either the restaurant is good or it's not.
Right.
Yeah.
They don't write a review and say, well, the grill cook was having a bad day.
Exactly.
Right.
They don't.
That no one cares. The only thing is like, I came here, I spent my money. Was it good or was it not? Am I coming back?
That's all that matters.
Am I willing to give you my money again?
Yeah.
Right. Or whatever. And what's also interesting about that being in a position of leadership is I often used to say, like, sometimes I'd show up and be like, they'd say, how do you know you got to be here? It's like, you just kind of know, like you have a situational awareness that you could spot. Hey, that station's probably going to go down soon. Or that cook on a Friday night on that station is probably not going to be good.
Yeah.
So you start to figure that out. And sometimes there's a little bit of friction because you send support, right?
Yeah.
You send support and you say, hey, I need you to help this person. And the only thing they think is like, why aren't you doing it? Why do I have to do it?
Yeah.
They don't understand, like, your job is to make sure you're conducting the orchestra.
Yeah.
How do you handle that? Because I'm sure you get pushback.
There was this makes me think of a moment that happened recently where I noticed that the dishwasher had a lot of dishes piled up. So I told him, I said, I'm going to help you. And he kind of gave me this disappointed look. And I looked at him, I was like, you know what, you're right. I should send someone else to help you because I get pulled in 7 different directions. What's probably going to happen, not because I'm lazy, I'm going to go help you for 1 minute and then someone else is going to need me even worse. And I could see that look in his eyes and that kind of helped it click for me where I was like, it's not my job to bail people out, to help people. I need to find the most able person to bail you out, to help you. And often it can seem like you're putting extra work. Like let's create a scenario. Let's say I go into work and the line is saying, hey, I'm almost out of this prep item. So I have 2 options as a leader. I could dive into that prep item, which let's say that takes me half an hour to make them a batch. Or I could look around and I could say, okay, who else can do this? Because I know that I'm going to be pulled in 7 different directions in 10 minutes and I can't dive into an involved prep list item. So I look around and I see, oh, the dishwasher, he doesn't have a lot of dishes piled up. Does he know how to do this? Yeah, he can do that easy task. Okay, I'm going to put him on that. Even though he might be a little bit like, hey, like I have dishes, even though he doesn't have a lot, but at that moment, you look, okay, the pizza guy's got tickets. Okay, the line's pretty busy. Okay, I think I'll take the dishwasher. I'll have him do it. But you kind of start to get into this flow of everyone knowing that, and it's the culture you create too, of everyone helps everyone. And when the dishwasher's used to thinking, oh, it's not just my job to do dishes. I actually, like, if I don't have a ton of dishes, what else can I do? Now they look around for things they can do. And so it's your job as a leader of any capacity to be able to train and delegate thous tasks, because there are moments when I look around and I'm like, nobody can do the thing that needs to be done. So I have to do it. And then that is a red flag in my brain of like, I need to train. I need to train this task. And if I just simply don't have enough people, everyone's busy, then I need to hire so that the bottom tasks can get filled with the easier stuff. And then the people that, the prep cook who's already trained in a lot of stuff can learn this thing that I'm doing right now. So that's been a very interesting mindset shift for me, which actually happened, I think, like after I became a sous chef, because I spent a lot of time at the beginning trying to do it all.
Yeah.
And you'd walk into work, 7 people call your name as soon as you walk in the door.
Like, hey, chef, you got a minute? Nothing worse. Like, that's the worst thing you hear. I think I commented on one of your
You
posts.
made that comment.
Yeah, it's like, there's nothing worse than when you walk in and it's like,
God.
hey, chef, can I talk to you?
Can I
Because it's like, because it's never, how's your day? Hey,
I got good
do you
news
need
for
anything? No, it's not that. It's like, here's some shit you got to deal with, chef.
Yeah. Oh my God. Chef, you got a minute.
Yeah,
they're either going to quit or they have a massive problem with someone else, or they're 86. They're about to 86 something.
So it's funny. I used to say, like, if because this happens all the time. Like, someone comes in and they say, hey, I think I'm going to quit. And you convince them to stay. Like, hey, don't quit.
Yeah.
We're going to do this. It's going to get
Well,
better.
it depends on the person,
Right?
the reason.
Sometimes, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you're
Yeah.
convincing someone to stay. And I noticed that sometimes I'd convince someone to stay, and then as soon as they'd walk out, I'd be like, they're going to quit in 2 weeks. Like, all we did was buy ourselves
You
a
bought
little bit
yourself
of
2
time
weeks
because they're going to leave anyway.
to hire. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah,
Hey,
no,
chef,
it's
we've got a minute. That's usually what it is. I would always also tell people, like, if someone goes on vacation and then they want to meet with you right after vacation, it wasn't a vacation.
Yeah.
it was not a vacation.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
man.
usually when people are looking for jobs, is when they take that 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I have a question. So I'm thinking about the transition. Lady line cook, lady sous chef, even though that's not your name, even though we talked about this earlier, it's lady sous chef on TikTok.
It's Lady Sous Chef on TikTok, because whoever's using Lady Line Cook at Lady Line Cook on TikTok is not even posting anything.
They need to sell you the lady line
me
cook. But here's my question. New in the industry, that person a few years ago. New in the industry. I'm certain that you got into the industry with certain ideas, certain paradigms, and also, the generation that you're from, you have a certain way that you view the world.
Yeah.
And now you're the sous chef. You're leading a team. It's completely different because now you're not just responsible for yourself, but as we've talked before, it's that top and bottom compression. You have the pressure coming from the top of the chef, the owner, et cetera.
Yeah.
And the pressure coming from the bottom of the things that got to get done. How have you evolved your opinions and your ideas from lady line cook? And I don't mean necessarily like the social media persona. I mean, just in the leadership persona. What did you think was absolutely wrong when you were a cook that you understand? Oh yeah, I didn't know what I was talking about.
So I used to have this irrational fear of clipboards, which sounds ridiculous, but it's the idea of the clipboard chef.
Yeah.
You grab a clipboard and you walk around and you look at everyone. What are you doing? What are you doing? You got your mise for tonight? You got your prep? How's your prep list? And that used to be like, I'll never be that. I'm never going to have a clipboard. I'm never going to use a clipboard. I'm never going to do that. But now I've realized that is your job. If you're a leader, if you're not assigned to a station, that is your job. And what happens during the day is you do end up having your hands on the food. You do end up with that anyway. You can't walk into work planning to be like, well, I'm going to work saute, or I'm going to be the prep cook, or no, you have to schedule people in those places. And I work at a very busy restaurant that's just always busy. So you have to schedule people in those places so that you're free to put out, well, not even to put out the fires, to prevent the fires from happening in the first place. If you're just running around all day on fire, it's funny that we use that after, but it metaphorically, I mean, if you mean you're running around, everything's on fire, everything's stressful, it's because you didn't get your priorities right at the beginning of the day. So now when I walk into work and let's say, for example, the line, I need this, the old me would have immediately jumped in on that thing. That's the priority, right? But what I've learned now, what I've shifted is that might be a priority. I need to check all priorities in the building first before I lift a finger, before I do anything. I need to know what the future fires are going to be. For example, let's just go through a day. You walk into work, line says, hey, I need help. You jump into that. You don't realize you're low on produce. You miss the produce order cutoff. You have to go to the store to buy something out. They don't have it. It takes you 45 minutes to drive all around town to try and, there's no Restaurant Depot. There's none of that. Where I live in the mountains, like there's like Safeway and you got to buy out the grocery store. So it's like you're hitting 3 different grocery stores trying to find this thing enough for the next 3 days because you missed the produce cutoff. I'm like out of breath going through the story because it's like one thing to another, to another, to another, to another, because you didn't start your day checking your priorities. And
How do you organize yourself?
So you do have to live and die by clipboards.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but so we have basically, I mean, where I work, we have 4 clipboards. We have the master prep list, which is like what the prep team is responsible for. We have the pantry prep list, the mainline prep list, and then the dinner, because we have lunch menu and dinner menu. So those are kind of our 4 things. So my job, I come in and I check that each person responsible for each clipboard has made their priority list, because the thing is you're no longer just responsible for your priorities. If you're actually leading, you need to make sure that that cook over there who's cutting their 4th backup of mushrooms and they're the pizza cook, and you go in the walk-in, you're not even thinking about pizza. You're in the walk-in and there's no dough. You're like, hey, you're not working on your priority. You need to work on that instead of that. So you need to know everyone else's priority and your priority, and you need to be free to be able to think about all those things.
Do you? How much of your time is typically allocated towards admin work versus?
I actually did the math.
Yeah,
Literally the week before I left and came here, 80% of my job is hands on the food.
Yeah.
Which was very interesting to me because
I feel like you're always in.
I
in
don't.
The books.
I don't schedule that way because I schedule people. I schedule a prep cook. I schedule line cooks. So for me, it's not even like I'm a scheduled line cook, but there's just enough extra stuff and enough times where someone needs help, or it's just a busier day than normal, or someone called out. And one day the prep cook called out. I'm like, hey, that's 11 hours. I'm the prep cook. It was like our lead prep cook. So I had to do a lot of that, and I had to work the line on Saturday, and so it was a lot of extra stuff that was kind of unexpected. And so 80% of my week was hands on the food. And then I had, I think 16% was, this might not add up because I'm just off the top of my head, but the vast majority was hands on the food. I think it was 70%, 70 to 80. And then I had 15% was like deliveries, inventory, kind of not office work, but not food work. And then I only did like 5 hours of office work. So it was very interesting to see that.
Do you use a lot of AI in what you guys do, like for admin work?
We're so old school. My head chef is more into that stuff, but right now, like, we have to code invoices by hand and hand them into the bookkeeper, who enters them in the computer, and then we do inventory with a binder and a pencil, and we've been in business like over 50 years.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it's something I was thinking about the other day, because I was like, one of the things that fucking month-end inventory.
Yeah, that is the worst.
Month-end inventory is the worst.
The absolute
and then
worst.
You got a big coat in the freezer, and you're counting shit.
Is there an AI that scans?
No, but I was thinking it would be great. There needs
someone
to
invented
be an
that.
AI.
That's what AI should be for. Stop making art and do that.
Stop making cat. Don't stop making cat videos that are doing kung fu. That's my jam. No, but I mean, I figured like you should be able to go into a walk-in, and if you can't do it, no, just take a photo or a video, upload into your AI and say, what's my inventory?
What it should be for.
Give me my order for tomorrow. Like, what's my inventory? Do the month end, and I bet you there's a small delta variance.
Yeah,
right?
it'll get there.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
hopefully
better.
Soon, right? I'd imagine. I've probably talked about this on the podcast before, but I imagine as AI starts to evolve, one of the things that I noticed years prior was that a lot of times people would come to me and say, hey, I want to be a sous chef. Because they wanted to get out of the kitchen. Like they viewed it as like, I want to work in the office. I want to work on the schedule. And I felt like a lot of those chefs that got out of the kitchen to go into the office stayed in the office and then became executive chefs, and they kind of forgot how to cook a little bit. And what worried me is that eventually AI is going to push you back out of the office.
Yeah, because AI can't do that, but it can do.
Yes, it can answer your emails for you. It can write your schedule eventually. It could write recipes. It could take a lot of the mundane things off your plate.
Which I hate.
Which says, hey, go back into the kitchen and cook. Which I find interesting because I'm not sure if we're feeling that yet.
Yeah.
And you're saying you're not.
Or not really. I mean, as a sous chef, I am still super hands-on anyway. So
Yeah, 80%.
and I post, people on Instagram tell me all the time, you should use AI to do your schedules. But to me, it's so up here. I know who, it's all in here. So I can't, to me, it's the thought of setting that up is more than just making my schedule every week. Maybe one day, but right now, because I do the schedule and that's
Did you
very,
enjoy more being a line cook or a sous chef?
I like being a sous chef more because I feel like a conductor
Yeah.
of an orchestra. And when it goes right, it's a very, very satisfying job.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's nothing better than I say that it's really hard to make service boring on a busy night. Because
Yeah.
if it's boring, that means everything went well.
Yeah.
But you know how hard it is to make it look boring?
Yeah.
It's very hard
Yeah.
because that means the cooks showed up.
Yeah.
The meat didn't run out. Like it was a boring night.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah. Definitely. Being a sous chef is really cool. Or being in any leadership role, I think when you can get genuine respect from people,
Yeah.
that's something you can't buy. You can't cheat your way out of. You can't go get some fancy degree and buy your way into it. You can't do any of that. If you really are chasing only the title, let's say you get everyone in a room and you get your servers, your cooks, your preps, your dishwashers, everyone in the restaurant, you get them all in a circle and you say, okay, this person is promoted. This person is now your sous chef. They're in charge. Do what they say or there's going to be consequences. And so that person has a title. That doesn't mean that that person has respect. Because when I was first coming up, I was actually sous chef without the title. I was kind of in training too, so it kind of went hand in hand, but I was sous chef without the title for a while. And I was young, so I was frustrated. I was like, why are they not giving me the title? I deserve the title. But it forced me, and they told me, they need to respect you, and it doesn't matter if you have the title or not. And at first I was confused. I was like, how are they going to do what I say when I don't have a title? They're going to ask, are you my boss? And what do I say to them? And my bosses told me it doesn't matter. They either respect you or they don't. That's all that matters. And so that has always stuck with me because you're that person that step one is get good at every job in the kitchen. Be able to run any station on any night of the week. Be able to prep everything on the prep list. Be able to do it well. Be able to actually be a help. When they need help, know that when you're running towards them, whether they're prepping or on the line, that you're there to help and you can actually bail them out and you're actually going to be good at what you're doing and you're not just running on there to like, quote unquote, help. I feel like we've all worked with those kind of managers.
Yeah, they start sweeping.
Yeah. Be good at all the stations. Earn their respect. Put in the hours. Don't be like, I'm on salary now. I got to leave at 8 hours. Yeah. That's a touchy subject, but I personally feel like you got to earn their respect, and you don't do that by leaving when it gets hard.
Yeah.
So there's a fine line, because I'm not saying go get taken advantage of, but they need to know that you have their back, that you're going to help them, that you know how to do their job. They're going to respect you because they know that you are in their position, and there's no way to force that. But when you get that respect, your job will be 100 times easier. It's not going to be like pulling teeth to try to get people to do what you say. It's not going to be, you're not going to get eye rolls and people behind your back doing different things. When they actually respect you and they want to make you proud, then your job is so much easier.
How do you think chefs lose that respect?
I think with ego. I think this attitude, if you ever get the attitude of you're above anything or anyone, like for me, my philosophy is I always learn. Anyone could teach me anything at any given moment. So the dishwasher has something valuable to teach me, something that he knows that I don't. So I always have an open mind of I can learn anything from anyone. If you show me a way, I'm not trying to encourage my cooks to be like, let me show you. But if there's genuinely a suggestion that you have, don't be afraid to come to me with a suggestion. That doesn't mean I'm going to do it, but I want them to feel comfortable. And we're always changing stuff around, trying to make things better for everyone, trying to even out the workload. We're always making changes in how we do things and how the jobs are laid out. But ego is a big thing of how you actually keep that respect. I would say you delegate, but you also jump in when you have to. Obviously, your number one response should always be to try and delegate something. But truly, if sometimes I look around and I'm like, no one can do this job. I'm going to do it. I'm going to jump on the line. I'm going to do this. And that definitely, I feel, keeps their respect.
What's been the hardest thing for you as a leader going in now? Because, and this is kind of a loaded question, but the reason I ask is because I'm sure there's a little bit, I don't know if it's friction or tension, but you have this large social presence. And I don't know how that affects the line level staff.
Yeah.
Is there friction there?
I keep it very separate.
Yeah?
Yeah. I keep those two. People think that like my job, my Instagram are like intertwined.
Yeah.
They're not. I keep them very separate. I don't film a lot at work. If I am filming at work, it's a dead day.
Yeah.
I've never taken a selfie when the line's going down. Like that is not me. So, and a lot of my coworkers follow me, and we have a laugh at things, and they know if I'm whipping out my phone to take a picture of like the blood myoglobin that spilled all over the floor. And I'm going to take a picture of that and make fun. Like I'm going to go famous. So there's one guy who's like, oh, you're going to put me on your TikTok. I'm going to go famous. So it's positive for the ones that do follow me. And we'll joke about something that I posted. Like, oh, you posted that. That happened on Tuesday. I was like, yep, that happened on Tuesday. So, and even my boss isn't even on social media. People accuse me of, they only hired you because they're social media, blah, blah, blah. Like I started working there before Lady Line Cook was even a thing, so get lost. But also, a lot of my bosses aren't really into social media, and that affects none of the decisions that they make about me or anything. So
yeah, I want to ask you about social media, just because we're both in the we both live in the matrix. If you had to give advice to someone like a young cook, even a chef, right? Because I mean, you do better than like 99% of chefs in general online. If you had to give advice, like a masterclass 101, hey, I'm hiring you as my consultant
for social media.
Okay. For me and my restaurant and my culinary team, what are some things that you're going to say, hey, this is what you need to do to get your shit together to get noticed? So not your style, because your style is very unique.
Yeah, that's difficult
for their restaurant.
30 years in the kitchen, 7 books, 200 podcast episodes, all distilled into a 5-minute daily leadership practice. It's called Lead Like a Chef. Most people who get promoted quit the industry within 2 years, not because they can't cook, but because no one taught them how to lead. I built an app that does. Lead Like a Chef. Take the free 2-minute quiz that tells you exactly where you stand. Go to studio.com/Andre. Link is in the show notes.
It's not all about trends. A lot of people chase trends. And then what can happen, because I see on Instagram all the time, restaurant pages posting like a silly, like for example, they throw a burger at, there's like a stupid trend where it's like you throw a burger at someone. So you go viral, you gain all these followers who don't live anywhere near that restaurant.
Right.
And don't, like, what are they going to do? Okay, you went viral, you got a bunch of followers, and now your engagement rate is shot because none of those people are ever going to eat at that restaurant. Mm-hmm. So I would say, like, what I do on social media as a person, like you follow me, is very, very different from what like a restaurant should do for their social media.
So you'd maybe say, what's your goal? Right? Like we would define what the goal is
exactly,
for the individual. So let's maybe help people out that are listening. If they're saying, let's go to the individual instead of the restaurant.
Yeah.
Let's say we have a chef out there. There could be a head chef or a sous chef or whatever. But let's say they're a chef, and their goal is to make more money, get more eyes on their food, and create more opportunities
through social media. The thing with social media is it's a long game. So people don't know that I've been making content since I was 14. Mm-hmm. And I went my first 5 years posting on YouTube, no subscribers, no views, no likes, except my mom and my other account. Nothing, like, no viral, didn't make a dime, spent hours every week. I posted every week on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And if you don't see yourself doing that for 5 years with no results, don't even get into it. If you're only in it, if you're only starting social media for the money, to chase the trends, to get ahead, to skip levels in your career, to shortcut things, like don't. Because you might go viral, you'll get 15 minutes of fame, but then you don't enjoy it. So what's the point?
Yeah, that 15 minutes of fame, that one video that did 1 million views brought you $0.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It brought, because sometimes that's true. Like it brings you $0.
Yeah. Well, I get no money from views because my following's on Instagram and not because TikTok and YouTube pay, of course. So I got on the one app that doesn't pay.
Yeah.
So don't think you're going to be getting rich.
Yeah. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't understand about the social media world is a lot of times, I know I've had conversations with people that they equate followers to dollars, and it's not necessarily.
It can be if you're smart.
It can be, but
yeah.
But what I often tell people, and this is a little bit inside baseball, but you should have some sort of objective of what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Because like my thing is the podcast. That's what I do. I'm on Instagram, but it's the podcast. The Instagram supports the podcast.
Yeah.
That's where I live, is on the podcast. Where other people, it's like Instagram supports the restaurant, or Instagram supports the public speaking business, or whatever the case may be. So it's like you got to understand what it is you're trying to bring attention back to.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
You agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, my goal from the start was to make people laugh. That was my only goal when I started the page in 2020, because I was the new line cook. And when I first started in 2018, I was looking for memes. I was like, I'm a line cook now. I need to share line cook memes. And there was nothing funny, nothing good. So I was like, I'm gonna make my own. And so 2020, I was faceless. I was nameless. People were like, this isn't even Lady Line Cook. I bet it's a man behind this page. Like, because I didn't post my face, I didn't have a name, nothing. And I would just post these still memes, which I believe I was born in the golden age of technology because I had an actual childhood when I didn't have phones shoved in my face. But then once I got to like high school, memes and iPhones were kind of becoming a thing. And so, you were at the right age to find that stuff hilarious.
Yeah.
So.
What was it, like Facebook at that time? What was the other
It
one?
was
MySpace.
I think I'm a little bit younger than MySpace people, so I think I had a MySpace, but it was like dying
Not for
out.
long.
It was dying out by the time, But for me, YouTube and Facebook were the biggest ones. So that's why I got onto YouTube when I was like 14.
And what were you doing?
Cooking videos. I was
like
cooking. They were like 8 minutes long. I would ramble. I'd make a bunch of jokes, and I would have no views and no likes. But
Who are you making them for?
myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people are missing is like make it for you. And,
Yeah.
And maybe for your friends, and like it'll eventually
Yeah.
start.
2011 was my first video. My first viral hit on Instagram that got me a ton of followers was, if you've ever been to a restaurant and ordered a dish with a sauce on the side, I guarantee you there is or was a sauced version of that dish sitting somewhere in the restaurant, in the trash, or in the belly of an employee. But either way, it existed at some point in time, and that was the voiceover in the video.
Yeah.
That one was kind of like when I blew up, and that was in 2022. So that's 11 years of nothing, crickets for 11 years. I did take a break. So I did like 5 years, and I went to college and all of that. So
Sure.
I took a bit of a break, but the spirit of that stayed with me, and I've always been creative.
From a social media standpoint, do you know when you're like making a banger?
Yes, absolutely. I like, for example, the coochie mix.
Which, by the way, I saw that. I was like, fuck, that's good. The coochie mix. It was hilarious. I think we joked around. I think everyone probably had the same jokes. Like, yeah, that's your
CD.
That's your CD, your high school CD that you put on before the party. But yeah, I thought that was a brilliant video.
Yeah.
It was funny.
Yeah.
And so what, they saw it, or what happened?
Yeah, the guy in the video saw my
Coochie mix.
my stitch to the video,
Yeah.
and I basically helped.
Is it Coochie Mix? Is that what they're called?
Coochie
really?
Mix. Well, no, the
You're not
brand.
mispronouncing it, are you?
That's actually how it's pronounced. The brand is Firex, which is Italian company, and Cucinar. I don't speak Italian, but it's
Cucinar,
kind of
yeah.
like Spanish. So it's cucina,
Yeah.
to cook. And it's funny, the guy who flew me out to Texas was telling me yesterday, I tried to explain it to them. He tried to explain it to them, but because they don't speak English, they weren't understanding it at all. Yeah. And he was like, no, in English, it's a bad word. And they were like, whatever, cucina, to cook. And so anyway, that's the reason I'm in Texas right now, is I got flown out by
That's
Coochie
different.
Mix
I'm glad you're here, 'cause I know
to
what
go
you're-
to the headquarters and see everything. So that's how I ended up on the podcast.
No, I know, because we've been talking for a
Yeah.
while, and I was like, you was like, hey, I'm coming to Texas. Like, great, let's
Yeah.
let's do
No,
this.
why are you coming to Texas? Imagine me asking for the time off work too. What are you going to
You're
Texas
gonna quit?
for?
You're gonna come back and turn in your notice?
Yeah.
No, I think it's well, because it's been great to see your evolution through. Because I didn't start following you in 2014. I think I discovered you around 2021, 20.
Yeah. And that's kind of when my stuff was blowing up too.
And watching it and seeing your growth and seeing your evolution. But it's also been interesting for me as a fan on this side, watching you go from lady line cook to I'm getting promoted.
Yeah.
And now
All
you're
in
the position.
real time.
Yeah,
In
so
real
it's like,
time.
for people like me that have been following since the inception, or not the inception, but since that period in time.
Yeah.
It's nice to see your career progress and your opinions change on things.
Yeah,
And, What you were
absolutely.
saying here is different from what you
Yeah,
were saying here,
yeah.
but that's okay. You change your mind. I'm in a new position. I have new experiences. now.
Exactly.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
But back to the bangers. Sometimes I will create something for Chef's PSA that I know will do well. And I'm like, I'm going to post this because I have the bandwidth to deal with it. And other times I'm like, I don't have the bandwidth to deal with.
People who aren't going to get it.
Yeah, like I sometimes say it's like
Yeah.
a Rorschach test. What
Yeah.
I post, it's like you're either going to comment at me and angry, and someone else is going to comment positive, but you're interpreting
They're
it.
interpreting it in different
Like
ways.
if it's their chef telling them, it's like, I'm
Yeah.
not your chef. I don't even know you.
Yeah.
Like, calm down.
They have the filter and the lens at which they view.
I didn't
the
write it with
content.
you in mind.
Yeah.
Like I've never
Yeah.
met you.
No, I can post on Instagram. Let's say, for example, I go on my story and I say, I just finished a 13-hour shift, and that's what I post. So there's two groups of people that respond to that. There's 13 hours. What are you, part-time? Back in my day, we'd blah, blah, blah. You guys are soft, but like whatever. Then you got the other group of people. Aren't you on salary? You should leave after 8 hours. You need to, they're taking advantage of you. You need to make sure that you're not doing that. That's not sustainable, blah, blah, blah. When it's like, I'm not working 13 hours every single day. You have a particular day, someone calls out, it's busier than you think. And you, because you want the respect of the people, and it's in your job to make sure that the restaurant runs smoothly, and it's the head chef's day off, or he honestly on vacation or something. And it's your job to make sure that the restaurant runs. So what am I going to do? Say it's my 8 hours? Like,
Yeah.
there's
You're
a
in
line
charge.
that, and I feel like I walk that line with my content of, I'm kind of a bridge between old school and this new school. Like, I'm not into the old school. Yeah, you need to do 80 hours a week, and that's the norm. I'm like, no, I kind of want a life outside of work too. And then you have the other end of the spectrum where they're like, we don't take anything. You can't raise your voice. You can't raise your tone. You can't hold standards. You need to work 40 hours or less. And if you're on salary, don't stay 40 hours in 1 minute. You need to track. You're like, we got to meet somewhere in the middle. And that's, I feel like, where I kind of am right now.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing. Your opinion changes on things depending on where you're at, where you happen to be at in that ecosystem of a restaurant. An owner doesn't think like the entry level cook, and the chef that's a chef owner or chef employee is going to have a completely different opinion.
Yeah.
If they're feeling like they're taken advantage of. But I think, and this subject it could be heavy, but I don't want to get too heavy with it. But I think sometimes, like a lot of people, I know that it's popular with content in the culinary world to say, I did this so you don't have to. So I worked a 13-hour shift so you don't have to. I worked a double today so you don't have to. And it comes across really negative. And a lot of people say, no, I work in a toxic kitchen. But I know for a fact, because all I do is talk to chefs. And I know the last job I had, I wasn't a toxic chef, and it wasn't a toxic work environment. I'm sure you wouldn't be there for 7 years. If
It's not toxic at all.
It's not toxic.
It's amazing, yeah.
And I would say the majority of the chefs that I talk to, and I'm not saying there aren't exceptions to the rule, because there are, but most of my chef friends are not toxic either.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes the industry gets painted as the industry is toxic. And I don't necessarily agree with it, because I think we need to define what that looks like. And I think sometimes when we throw out the term toxic, I feel like it's almost a little bit lazy, a little bit. Is like, is it toxic because I'm telling you what to do? Is it toxic because I'm holding you accountable because you called off?
Yeah.
Is it toxic because I said you couldn't get Friday off even though we have 300 on the books?
Yeah.
Like, which part is toxic? Now, I get abuse,
Belittling people,
drugs,
personal Yeah.
Then okay, that's what it is. But to say that the industry is toxic because you're being held accountable and because you have to stand on your feet, like that is not toxic. That's the job. That's what this industry is.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's important sometimes.
It is a stressful job. Like
It
you're going to be under pressure. You're not going to create a kitchen where no one's ever under pressure. Like that's not
No, tickets are
kitchen.
coming in.
Yeah.
The machines
You
going
want to
off in
wait
your
an hour
drains.
for your food at an a la carte restaurant? Sure. Like no.
And you're coordinating this amongst
Yeah.
multiple people. Like the steak needs to be ready, the salad has to go up.
Yeah.
And the server's there, like my table's waiting on how long,
Yeah.
right? And all this is
And
going
they
on.
need to know because the table's actually waiting and they paid $60 for that meal. So you better come up with it.
And so is that toxic?
It can be navigated in different ways. It's all about the leader. That's
Right.
why I talk about leadership so much. Leadership is everything because you have those environments that are naturally under pressure. And obviously, chefing is not life or death. You have actual EMTs and surgeons and firefighters who, even though I was a firefighter once on
Were you?
one day, on that one day at
Oh,
work.
God. I was like,
Not
no
for
shit.
real. But I'm saying, like, I'm going to keep referencing that story this whole time. But you have people with jobs that are way more life or death than chefing.
Yeah, certainly.
But you can't pretend that chefing at a restaurant is not a high pressure job. It is. So you have to hold standards. You have to have time limits. I mean, we're doing 450 covers. We have like 15-minute ticket time. We have a 15-minute timer in our kitchen, like, or the clock is set 15 minutes back and it needs to match the ticket time. We have to uphold those standards because that's what we're known for. So
And it's linked accountability.
Yeah.
And that's what I think a lot of people don't think about often is it's linked accountability. Like that slow cook affects the fast
everyone
cook.
else, yeah.
It affects
Yeah.
all the way through.
It's your job as the leader to maybe you need to get rid of the person. Maybe they just need training. Maybe they just need some guidance. Maybe they need to be moved to a different station. That's your job as the leader to figure out what needs to happen.Maybe you kick them out and you work that position for the night.
Right. Going back to social media and kind of centering on this conversation still. Do you feel that you have a responsibility with your platform to use your voice in a positive manner?
Absolutely. Yeah, I definitely have a lot of I don't take it lightly. I've told so many people to quit their job in the DMs. Like people come in my DMs every single day for advice and I answer them. I probably spend way too much time, but I genuinely care about these people.
I got a bot.
I even sent like a care package to Dubai for free because
That's
someone
super nice of you.
asked for a signed book and was like, oh, but I got it on Amazon. And I was like, oh no, you can't get it signed. Here, let me just sign a bunch of postcards. I'll send it to you.
That's super
all the way to Dubai. So I'm like, I'm too nice sometimes when it comes to my social media. I'm worried, like, what if I get too many followers? I can't do that anymore. I'm going to be sad. So, but anyway, I do have a responsibility because people ask me for advice and I do give it to them. And the number of people, they come to me and they lay out the most toxic workplace situation I've ever heard of. This person drinks on the job and this person yells at me and this person belittles me and they promoted 3 people over me who weren't as qualified as me. What should I do? And I'm like, go look for another job. Like, why are you still there? Get out of there.
You're waiting for it to get worse?
So many people. And people have messaged me back saying, I did it. I quit my job.
Yeah.
And I don't take that lightly at all. But
Sometimes people just need the nudge.
they do. And the number of people who message me and say, I'm still in the industry because of you. Like, oh, I was so depressed and burnt out and I hated the industry, but I came across your videos and they gave me hope. I don't take that lightly. Like, I don't ever want to sugarcoat and glamorize. I don't ever want to do that. But I'm also not going to be someone who just talks about the negatives and then provides no solutions and almost perpetuates the negative. Like if I complain about working 80 hours a week, which I don't, but let's say I did and I complained about it and I continue to uphold that belief that if you're a chef, you have to work 80 hours a week. All I'm doing is upholding that belief by complaining about it every day. So to me, I feel like we're at kind of a shift like in time when things are changing, but not every restaurant has caught up to it. So there are toxic kitchens. There are kitchens that require a lot of you, and it's all balance. So yeah, I don't take any of that lightly at all.
One of the things that I notice, and people that don't understand social media world, if you want to go viral, have a strong opinion.
Yeah.
That's really,
Yeah.
if you want to go viral, have a very strong opinion about something.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna get commenters on both sides.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I notice right now that seems to be very in vogue for chef content creators, culinary content creators, is they will take a hot take on, basically like we're in the alley smoking cigarettes, complaining about the chef, the industry, the profession, everything sucks, right? And they will go viral, and they don't offer any solutions to kind of to your point of, okay, well, if this is the issue, how do we solve it? What are we doing to make it better? Because complaining about it is not making it better. So then you have to, think, well, then why are you creating this content to get millions of views?
And you're not making money
and
either.
You're not making money. So it's almost like this parasitic nature that you are using the industry that you are in to give you something to platform and talk about so you could tear down the industry that you're in.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why people would do that. Like, if you're really that angry about the industry, go do something that's going to make you happy. But this industry that you're in, that you're complaining about, is getting you millions of views.
Yeah.
So which one is it?
People ask me, would you quit your job to do social media full time? And I say, what would I post about? I'd have nothing to post.
I'm sure you would. It's fine.
I mean, yeah, maybe once you give it like 30 years in the business, I'd have enough. But for me, I'm like, I post, like, if something happens on Tuesday, there's a video about it on Thursday. That is how my content I have my notes app is wild. Sometimes I do like a notes app dump on X.
How is your workflow?
Like for content.
Yeah.
Because people ask me, how do you do it? You're a full-time sous chef and you do this. But for me, so my notes app is wild. If I have an idea, I write it down straight away. And sometimes it's hilarious and I want to stop everything and do the video, but I'm at work or something, or something funny happens. And sometimes it takes me months to flesh out an idea. Like, I've had this idea of you're the sous chef, you're the buffer. Like, ever since I first got promoted, I was like, man, you really are the buffer. And it took me 4 or 5 years to I should make a video about how if you're a sous chef, you're the buffer. So sometimes something will sit in my head for like months or years, and then I'll finally make a video. But the workflow of my content is usually, if I think of something and I'm in the car or I'm at my house and I can just whip out my phone and film it, I try to do it one take, and those honestly do really well. Coochie Mix was one. There was one time I was like literally at work still in my chef coat, and there was nobody in the office, and I told this story about the weirdest compliment I ever got. Actually, I need to tell the story.
Please.
But it was whoever made this dish is a genius, because you remember the food way after you eat it. Because when you eat the beets, you poop, you remember the beets. But then when you eat the asparagus, because it was a beet pilaf with asparagus and trout, and they said when you eat the asparagus and when you pee, you remember the asparagus. Like, did the chef do that on purpose? And it was my special. And the server came. This was like New Year's Eve, middle of service. Yeah. And for some reason, because in 4 months later, I was like running this dish again as a special, and that story came back into my head. Yeah. And so I filmed that video in like one take, and that one did really well. So if I can do it right, then I do. So I don't care really about production quality, or if I have my makeup done or my hair. I look really ugly in a lot of my videos, and that's kind of my style. Like, that's kind of my vibe where I'm filming and the camera's like right here. I'm like, hey, this story I'm telling. And then other times when I want it to be like a skit, where I'm like, okay, no, I have to like, and I never do scripts either. I have a vibe and a vision in my head. There's one that I did with Chef Rocco, because I went to LA last summer and there was this one that we had way too much fun with about the plumber, and she dressed as a plumber and then stuffed a shirt inside, or stuffed a pillow inside her shirt to have like a beer gut. Yeah. And and we went in with no script. Like, all we knew was like, you're the plumber, I'm the client. And then literally it was hilarious. It was one of my favorite skits to this day. But if it's like something a little more fleshed out with a skit, I write down the idea. So my notes app is just insane. I do notes app dumps sometimes on X with the most weird thoughts from my head, but I'll write it in my app. And then when I have a day off or something, I'll try to batch my content. So, and I've been video editing since I was a kid, so I'm good at it, and it's very casual to me. I can like, while I'm going to bed, I can edit on my phone and edit wherever the heck I am. For editing? I just use the Edits app, which is made by Instagram. Yeah. That's why people try to overcomplicate stuff. What equipment should I get? What money should I spend? Do you have a phone? You're messaging me on Instagram, so you have a phone. Do you have internet? Okay, you can start. Yeah. So you don't
I
need
also
any of
feel
that.
like from
Yeah.
because I do a lot of edited videos
Yeah.
as well, and I've noticed that the more highly edited, the less it performs.
Well, what I heard, because I follow other people on Instagram that post like Instagram advice, and what one guy said is it's the two ends of the spectrum. You have either very, very low production quality, which is very casual and it feels personable. It feels like you're FaceTiming your friend. And you have high production quality, which is actually good and it's well edited. And you need to fall into one of those two categories, because if you're in the middle,
Yeah.
if it's kind of like, okay, it's edited, but it's not good. But you put some effort, but it has to be on either side. And I agree with that. Like after he posted that, I was like, yeah, that actually is kind of my style, is the terrible green screen. That's part of my style. I don't think I'll ever buy a real green screen and a real software to have a good
like
green
that.
screen.
Like I think,
yeah.
giving a shout out to Brent. I love the fact that I mean, honestly, I've never asked him how he comes up with his scripts, but it's like he's fumbling through it. You know, like it's like then you got like some.
I
random
commented on
thing.
Brent's video once. I said, I like, then I watch.
Yeah, it's like I don't know where it's going sometimes.
Yeah.
And then, next thing you know, and then it's like messy, and then he's eating. It's like, yeah, that was good. Church or whatever.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But his style is so unique, and it's raw, and it. Like I think if he went high polish, it wouldn't do well.
Yeah, that's not.
No one wants to see Brent. No one wants to see.
I know,
Brent,
right?
In HD.
Yeah. We're not calling you ugly. I know he's gonna watch this.
No, I know. I love Brent, but you know what I mean. Like
no, it's the same with me too. Yeah.
we want to see it the way.
If I suddenly had a camera crew and someone told me, hey, don't go all Anthony Bourdain on us. And I was like, what does that mean? He's like, oh, no, not like the killing yourself thing, like the famous part. That's what I meant. I was like, he was like, people are like, I like that you're raw and you get back to your DMs and you're not that famous. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just me. Like people will be like, oh, now that you're all famous. I was like, no, I'm just a random small town line cook. Like I'm really not anyone at all.
Do you get a lot of like random DMs for advice?
All the time. Yeah, I do. Also try to like answer everyone.
Do you ever get anyone that gets pissed at you?
Yeah, one time someone said, do you have any advice on leadership? Broad, loaded question, right? How am I going to answer? And I said, look, there's a lot of things I can say, but I actually wrote a book about this. And so that was my answer. And they got mad at me that you're just trying to get my money. And I'm like, no, I wrote 50,000 words about leadership and how I learned how to lead on the fly. I can't answer your DM in like 2 sentences. Like, I'll give you the book for free.
With a very vague
I'll give you the
question.
book for free. Like, I don't know. It's,
I sometimes, I mean, I don't respond as much in DMs anymore, but when I used to get questions like about leadership, I'll just, listen to this episode. I talked about that subject for about 30 minutes. That's the, what I'm going to text you, I don't have time.
Yeah.
So listen to that. That's probably a good place to start. But no, I think sometimes what's interesting is I think people are looking for that very specific advice, or they're looking for validation.
Yeah. Some people are like, I was thinking of quitting my job, but you really pushed me to make that decision. And again, I don't take that. I have told a lot of people to quit their job, which is interesting because I never thought I'd get here. I'm just a random person.
Okay, so as we get close to wrapping up, I want to ask you a couple of questions. Let's start with the most important one. If you have a Mount Rushmore of 4 chefs, who are the 4 chefs that are on your Mount Rushmore?
Yeah, I listen to the podcast a lot, so I have answers.
Good.
Okay, after much thought and deliberation of if I wanted to put a basic B answer that everyone says, I'm still going to put Anthony Bourdain on there.
Which he deserves to be.
Because as a storyteller, he gave a voice to the line cooks. Like he walked so I could run. I feel like my page would not exist if I had not read Kitchen Confidential. So he needs to be on there. Then I would say Julia Child, because I actually started cooking because of the movie Julie and Julia, which came out when I was a kid, and it really inspired me to start doing that, and also making the videos because she went through the cookbook and it was a whole journey for her, and that really inspired me.
That's amazing.
And then Eugenie Brazier.
Okay, who's this? A lot of people don't know this name.
Yeah. So please. I feel like the reason she's on there is because nobody knows who she is. So she is the person who had the most Michelin stars in the world from 1933 to 1998, had the record she had 6 Michelin stars, which at the time was the most Michelin stars that anyone had in the world. But no one knows her name because no one was, like, if you were a woman, you didn't count, basically. So now when the times that I've heard people talk about her, they say, oh, she was the woman with the most Michelin stars as a female. I was like, no. She had the most Michelin stars in the world for 60 years.
Up until Mr. Ducasse.
Yeah, up until Ducasse. And like the only reason I know about her is because I did this video series talking about like chefs from history and stuff like that. And she was one of them. I only made like 3 videos and it was a long time ago. It's one of those series I started and only did 3 videos. And but she was one of them. And I like did a deep dive and I was like, how have I never heard of this person? Like this is a cornerstone in culinary history. And I don't know how to pronounce her name. I had to look it up. Yeah.
And your fourth?
The fourth, another basic answer, but it has to be Thomas Keller.
He's the goat.
Because I did eat at the French Laundry last year and it was 1,000 out of 10. I had to like prepay for it because it was my friend and it was a reservation and somehow she got it and it was like meant to be. And so I was like, man, this is going to be pretentious. Like, how do I actually want to do this? And then the minute I walked in the door, it was like hospitality times 10 and it was not pretentious. It was not snooty. I felt like I fit in, even though like all of us at that table were working class and saved up a bunch of money to go there. We weren't, a lot of people were rich and that's whatever. It's just a night out. But for us, it was her 50th birthday and it was a big deal.
Yeah. Did you get to see the kitchen?
Yeah. And they took me back into the kitchen because the waitress, because you know, fine dining, people put on an act and they have a certain, but the waitress like blew her, not her cover. It was very nice, but she was like, I follow you on Instagram. Like, I'm a big fan. And I was like, cool. Can I see the kitchen? And she was like, yeah. And so I was able to see the kitchen. And the way that thing is run, oh my God, I came back very inspired.
Yeah. I mean, they're the best. They're arguably the best in the world.
Yeah.
In some people's eyes. Since we say like Mount Rushmore of chefs, are there 4 or 5 content creators in the culinary world that you really like?
Oh man, Drew Talbert is the number one. His skits about restaurant life. I've never seen anything more accurate. And I met him in person.
Did you?
Yeah, which was amazing. And then I would say, man, this one's on the spot because I was prepared for the other one. He's one for sure. I gotta put Chef's PSA on there.
Thank you. Yeah, shout
because
out to
there's a lot of chefs podcasts, but no one really talks about leadership.
Yeah.
Like Chef's PSA does. So I would absolutely say.
Are there other chefs podcasts? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, there's a lot, and I've been on a lot, but this one, yeah.
Yeah.
I was
shout
most
out to
excited.
other chefs podcasts.
Yeah, there are a lot.
Go on Google and type in best chef podcasts, and it's going to say Chef's PSA. And Perplexity is going to say the same thing. So just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying. Sponsors,
Yeah.
where you at? Nice chef coat, by the way.
Oh yeah, sponsors. I would say, okay, this chef coat is actually a group project. So I partnered with Funky Chef, who is run by Chef Hannah, who's a yacht chef. So she had, at the time when I reached out to her, she had a lot of fun designs, kind of like this one. It's fun, but you're not going to wear it.
Tigers.
Yeah, you're not going to wear it in a like strict kitchen, which is why I work in a white or black coat only kitchen. And so I came to her with my platform and all the amount of chefs that follow me, and I said, what if we got together and we just made we asked a bunch of women what they hate about their chef wear, and we just fixed all those problems. And her, as the fashion designer and the mind behind this company, was able to do that, and me with the chef experience and the ability to collect this feedback, came together and made what I think is the perfect women's chef coat. It's only for women. People ask all the time if I have a men's line, but her company is, there aren't good women's chef coats out there until we made one that doesn't suck. So we came together. It's actually sold out, but maybe by the time this episode airs, we're closer to a restock. So we sold out of the white, but it comes in white and black. It has the knot buttons. It is very professional, very sleek. As fun as these are, a lot of kitchens are strict and you can't wear whatever you want. So this is for that working chef. Yeah.
It looks great.
Yeah.
It's probably also a great coat for like photos. And
oh yeah, this is my show coat because like it's kind of tighter and more like short sleeve and all that. So I don't really wear it to cook. It's stuff like this and went on TV once and silly stuff like that.
Did you think of any other content creators?
I didn't. We can stop it too.
Okay, no. Because someone I want to give a shout out to is Ron McKinley. So Ron,
he should be on the Mount Rushmore for sure.
He's not only like my favorite chef.
Yeah,
I would say. I don't want to get in trouble. But as far as people that I love their food, like Ron is there. Like he is that tip of the spear chef that I just love the way he cooks. I admire his style. Everything that he makes is delicious. and it's technical, and it's just like cooking the way I remember cooking, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And he's the best at it. One of the best at it. But what he's also really great at is he's got great taste in music. He could edit the hell of a video, and he's teaching this high level technique. And it's like, man,
but it's fun.
It's fun. Like,
Yeah.
what he does, it's like, man, Ron, I think a lot of chefs have their own style. You know, we talk about you, we talk about Brent. Ron has a very distinct style. I think I have a distinct style. Like, people know, like, oh, that's a chef's PSA post.
Yeah.
Right? Not just from the post, but also from the
content.
comics.
Yeah.
You see a comic, you know, like, okay,
Yeah.
that's
Or
sort
the
of
content of the
music.
content
It's-
of
there's
what
a
you have
certain
to say.
package,
Yeah.
right? And I think Ron is one of those people. But kitchen wise, what do you use in the kitchen? Do you use kosher salt? Maldon?
Kosher.
So what's your kosher salt? Is it Diamond or is it Morton's?
We just buy like the U.S. Foods one.
U.S. Foods, but
We
how
haven't
does
been,
it season? Is it
it's similar to like the Morton.
Yeah?
So because sometimes they have Morton. I don't know. I don't always
nice?
do the
Bigger
ordering.
crystals or more?
No,
fine?
Diamond's probably bigger. Everything's to taste anyway, so that's kind of the most.
Do you use, like, for finishing? What's your like general acid? that you go
Maldon.
to?
Oh, for salt, Maldon's.
Finishing.
That's the big flakes. And then for acid, we do like a lemon. We serve a lot of our dishes with a lemon wedge and a little baby fork.
A little cocktail fork.
Yeah, it's kind of gets you involved with the food, and then I see people eating with little forks sometimes.
Yeah. Is
kinda
there
funny.
anything that you do now in your kitchen that you feel just brings a ton of flavor to things like that a lot of other people could learn from?
For my own personal style of cooking, I always use everything about the the animal, using every part. That's kind of been my personal philosophy. Like, if you cook beef and the tallow comes out, use that tallow in the dish. Like, what are you doing adding canola oil? Like, no, take that smoked tallow and don't throw it away. Like,
Yeah.
So, because when I first started cooking, I would see cooks do things like not use the braising liquid, and I'm like, wait, that's where the flavor, when it came out of the meat and it went into and so it's like, reduce that. Like, I feel like it's basic, but a lot of home cooks and beginners are like, let me add as many different cool components. I'm like, no, if that came out of the ingredient, like, put it back in, you know. That's kind of my own personal philosophy for sure.
Well, this has been fun. And for people that don't know, if you didn't catch it, this is our second time recording this podcast because I forgot to start recording.
I think it went even better, even though the first time was, maybe there was wisdom that
There
the
was
world.
warm up. That was warm up, but this was a good one.
Yeah.
Where can people find you if they want to continue to follow?
Main place, Lady Line Cook, is my Instagram, and you can find pretty much everything there. The chef coats are there. The book is there. My link in bio, ladylinecook.com, is my website, but everything's on Instagram. I'm also on YouTube at Lady Line Cook. I'm on TikTok as Lady Sous Chef because Lady Line Cook is being used by someone who doesn't even post. And then I'm also on Facebook as Hanalei Souza author because I can't change it, which is dumb. But Lady Line Cook on Instagram, that's all you need to know.
Awesome. This was fun. Thank you for coming out.
Yeah.
This is long overdue. I'm glad we did it.
Yeah, I'm glad. There has to be another one. There has to be a third
Twice.
later.
All right, that's the show. If you liked it, make sure you leave 5 stars, nothing less than 5 stars. If you want more Chef's PSA, go to chefspsa.com. Get yourself some books, get yourself some merch, including Culinary Leadership Fundamentals and the Line Cook Survival Manual. If you want early access to episodes, you can get them on Spotify and Substack by becoming a paid member. The link is in the notes. We'll see you next week. Hit the porno music.
No spawn drip in the kitchen, mixing, dropping chef knowledge, no fiction, stirring up the beats, heating up the session. Listen close, classes in session.